has been an integral part of the human experience for millennia, causing chaos and dissent in all around the world. The potency of lying and its difficulty to counter due to the fact that it's hard to tell when somebody is deceiving you when they have a cool and calm demeanor that makes them look innocent of anything they're being charged of, has resulted in the invention of the lie detector, the origins and development of which I'll be detailing in this speech, as well as discussing the ethics of it as well, both positive and negative. The polygraph test, the lie detector, has been a controversial device for years, dividing public opinion on its legitimacy and accuracy. However, since its inception, it's been undergoing a series of developments in order to make it more sound and reliable, both in the makeup of the machine itself and the questions it uses to gauge who's lying and who's not. Back in 1902, a prototype for the polygraph machine was created by James Mackenzie. However, this prototype was, of course, rudimentary and unsatisfactory, so it never really took off. Fortunately, 18 years later, John Larson created a more effective and more a more effective device, which is what we use as the modern archetype for the polygraph test. It relies on readings of biological responses to stress, such as sweat, blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing, in order to gauge if somebody is lying. Because if you're nervous about the question, then you must be considered lying. So the device was a hit. It was very successful, but as everything else, it was flawed. So it continued to improve on itself in order to make it more accurate. Eventually, the machine itself gave way to computers, and the questions used to gauge truthfulness, which at first were a series of relevant and irrelevant questions, designed to, as Norman Ansley from American Polygraph Association says, to discover where your normal level is and to get you back on that level if you ever feel nervous or, scared. That gave way to control questions and so on and so forth. Now, the device itself has been a very divisive device, and both the detractors and supporters are very effusive in their passion for it. So the supporters think that the device is still more than fairly accurate, and so it should still be used. According to a 1996 study conducted by the University of New Brunswick, researchers, including one Brendan M.T., found that 86% of those polled, those who underwent the polygraph test, were correctly identified as either guilty or innocent of the mock crimes they were accused of. So that's a pretty good number. That's a very good number. Adding to that is that government agencies still use the polygraph tests. So it still has utility and credibility in the modern day. However, detractors claim that there's too many interrupting factors that could lead to wrongful conviction, including just general nervousness about being interrogated, or delusions about thinking maybe you're guilty when you're not really guilty of something. Now, because the questions are all hinged on the fact that if you're nervous, then you must be guilty, that people have developed ways to overcome the test, bypass it, because they can take advantage of that guilt clause. And I'm going to show you one of those ways, as depicted in the movie Ocean's 13, when they're trying to get into a casino and get the job, but they have to, they have to pass the test. So, here you go.
Step on it during the control question. Name, birthday, and so on. So those levels match the stress level of false answers.
God, how much is this gonna hurt?
You're doing it right. Should be pretty excruciating. Is your birthday February 11th, 1965? Yes. You're wearing a white shirt. Yes. Have you ever been involved in the commission of a crime? No. Have you ever defrauded or attempted to defraud the gaming industry?
Notice how with every question he's hurting himself intentionally so that he can make himself more nervous to the eyes of the polygraph.
I'm just a little nervous. I really want this job.
See, that is how they would normally get over that hurdle. And that's why it's not allowed in courts anymore. So, in summation, the polygraph test is a very controversial, but very controversial device that has been used a lot during the years. But ultimately, it's still relevant because it's still being talked about and still being used in modern day. So, it's worth the conversation, and it's up to you to decide whether it's good or not. So, thank you for your time.